It's KPhit and I'm back, and this is how I got off drugs. This is me at 21, overdose in a coma for 3 days. I've been thinking to myself a lot lately, 5 and a bit hours on my first ultra to think of my directory, where I want to go in life and what I'm doing and what I'll continue to do. And I'm really not materialistic at all. I'm a minimalist, if anything. But I think the one word is like, how can I impact as many people as possible? So with that, I'm going to start giving back in video form or long form to people, young or old, man or woman, youth, whoever it is, kids, on my life experiences and how I have overcome certain situations. So in this video here will be how I got off drugs, and also the reason possibly why I got off them as well. It's KPhit and I'm back, and this is how I got off drugs. This is me at 21, overdose in a coma for 3 days. This is a couple of days after my 21st birthday. Now, one of my really good friends, he's 21 a couple of days before me, and he had his birthday a week or so after his birthday, just close to mine. And being 21, you think you're invincible, and drug tolerance was already very, very high. A lot of ecstasy, speed, weed, alcohol, all that sort of stuff. Majority people do, especially here in Australia. And we were into it from the afternoon, and we were partying as you do. You're 21, and playing the pokies and that. We're at a venue, and after that sort of function finished, we headed to another mate's house, and decided to get on it even more so. So we've already eaten pingers, we've been drinking, been fucking eating gas or speed, whatever you want to call it, and pumping pipes as well. We're on the shard, and back then that stuff was normal. It was normal to fucking send it. Eating, I don't know how many times I've eaten 20 plus pingers, festivals on a weekend, on a Friday night. And one night there was a few of us that ate fucking 200 something pingers, and people say, oh, they weren't strong. I mean, I've always pushed myself to the absolute limits, and then this is where it was really fucking eye-opening to what you think you're invincible and what can actually fucking happen to you. So we're doing all that, we're partying, playing pool, all this sort of stuff at my mate's joint, and he pulled out this bag of stuff which didn't know where it was, didn't know where it come from. Anyway, we all had a teaspoon, the end of it, dipped it in a big bag, blah, blah, blah. Everyone was all good, and then I remember being pretty fucked. It was the sort of last bit of my memory before it all happened, and I started doing some weird shit that I didn't usually do, or at that time don't do. Started stroking my mate's face and all this weird shit, and my ex at the time was thinking, like, what the fuck is he doing? I don't usually behave in those characteristics off my guts. And then, I don't know how much longer, my mate or lad got up and got it again and said, does anyone want any? And everyone was like, no, too cooked. You know, we were already fucking balls deep. I wouldn't have been sleeping for a couple of days anyway. And I decided, I couldn't answer. I was that fucking cooked. I decided to, nod my head like, yeah, I want more. And he put it in the bag and he said this much. And I like shook my head, nah. And he must have said, more, put it in, shoved the spoon in my mouth. And I just fucking bang, hit the ground. Now I'm speaking from third person here. My, good mates were there, ex-missus at the time, my mate's missus, or his ex-missus now, and a few other people. So I'm speaking from third party, hit the ground, started convulsing, started trying to swallow my tongue. My mate's missus at the time rang the ambo, and they come and got me, and come to the house, chucked me in the ambo, bang, straight to hospital. I sort of laugh at this because I'll fast forward the story quickly, but I had my favourite jumper on at the time and they had to cut it off me because I had to put my body on ice because I was overheating. So if you have an overdose, your body and your brain wants to cook, especially from the uppers. So they had to cut all my clothes off me so they could get me on ice and then get me on life support. And I say I laugh because that was my favourite jumper. And when I woke up, as you can tell because I'm still here now speaking about it, the first thing I said is, where's my jumper? And my ex was just like, oh, they cut it off. But so they've taken me to hospital and put on life support for 2 or 3 days. But this is a thing that you don't think of at the time, being young, thinking you're invincible, thinking that, like, it's a game. This is a game, which life is a game. You want to be grateful that you woke up today because yesterday's gone and tomorrow's not promised. And I think as humans, we really we take it for granted. And the effects that I didn't realise it had on bystanders that were literally there watching me, my friends and my ex at the time. And then my best mate having to ring my mum and dad that he's known his whole life to tell them at whatever time of the morning, 2, 3 a.m. that, Kieran's in hospital. He's dead. And that's something that I made that choice to do that. I made that choice to put that shit in my mouth. I made that choice to smoke that pipe, eat those pingers, whatever, eat the speed, drink those drinks, play those fucking pokies, whatever it was. Everything led me up to that point. And then now I'm sitting in hospital on life support with my friends and my family, there but can't do anything. And it's now I look back at it and I was like, fuck. Like, I look back at it and I'm like, fucking hell. Like, how could someone be so greedy? How could you think that taking drugs and drinking all the time is benefiting anyone around you or your last name or anything like that? How are you helping the situation? But I didn't have the tools at that age as I do now to overcome certain things that I was dealing with. But majority of the problems came from the drugs and alcohol, and the shit lifestyle that I was choosing. So I'm fucking, 2 or 3 days in a coma, and I've spoke to Mum. I spoke on podcasts about this, I spoke to my mum after I got off my second podcast, not after Souls, after Tonksi's one. I said to her, hey, I remember you saying that you were going to tell them to pull the life support, you know? And I haven't really spoke to her about it, but I just vaguely remember her saying that. And I don't respect her decision. I don't disrespect her decision because she's right. I was 21 years old and I had an abled body my whole life. And for me to be greedy enough to go out there, not just that time, but fucking since 13 to right up to my late 20s, to use and abuse drugs and think that nothing would happen. And she's right. You know, she is in her rights to have pulled that plug because I had an abled body. I was, you know, fit and healthy in a sense. I had a good job. And she didn't want to have to deal with me as a vegetable and ruin her and Dad's life and my sisters and, you know, that shit. So I respect her decision there, but thankfully I had woken up before they obviously got the opportunity to do that. I don't really know what that involves before pre-pulling and stuff like that, but yeah, so I remember waking up, whatever night that was, I'm not sure of days or dates or times, but I remember waking up of the night of before I guess visitors had to leave because my ex at the time was sitting beside me and I'd woke up. You know, and people ask me, oh, did you see the light and this and that? No. There was no light. I didn't see anything. I just literally woke up. I didn't know. The last thing I remember is sort of what I said before. Next minute I'm in hospital with these tubes stuck down my throat and I can't talk. You know, life support. Also, they have to surgically remove the tubes and that in your throat, so you can't just take them out. So I woke up, she's there, she starts crying, and then I went to try to pull them out. Nurses are screaming and carry on. So they hospital handcuffed me to the bed, and then they're explaining it, and they give me because at that time too, I was a mouth breather, heavy mouth breather, because I could never ever breathe through my nose until I taught myself breath work later in life, but that's a different video for a different time. But I was struggling to breathe and they gave me something, whatever it was, can't remember, to deal with the pain because I kept choking with the tubes and I couldn't get them removed till the next day. Obviously a surgeon or whatever has to remove them, you know, professionally or medically, whatever it is. So I kept pressing this button and she had, my ex at the time had to leave. So I'm there just pressing the button all night, trying to deal with that. The next day before I could get them removed, you know, mum, dad, a few mates and that come in, and I remember sitting there and they were asking questions, but because I still had the tubes in my throat, I could only write answers on a book or paper or whatever. So they asked me questions and I'm like, okay, I can hear. You know, they sort of told me what's going on. I can hear, I can see them. I'm writing barely, because back then I didn't write much either. So sort of a fucking mess. I hadn't written since school, and you know, there's a lot of things that you take for granted, or in a fast society, you just like, fuck. You know, I haven't written for ages. Anyway, so I realised I can still do that. I can smell, blah, blah, blah. Got that. So they're asking questions and writing them down. He took me in to get them removed, to come back. And because I'd been laid out for like 3 days on this hospital bed, and I sort of laugh at this too, but if anyone's seen the movie Avatar, where he gets off that bed and his tail's swinging around and he's in the hospital gown, sort of what it felt like to me. So I've been laid out 3 days and they took me in room and stood up, and I just remember feeling like that in the gown and sort of wobbling everywhere, and went and had a shower. I think Mumsy had brought clothes in or something like that. So, yeah, had a shower and just remember feeling like fucking shit. Very weak. And I then had to have tests done on me afterwards. So they did a lot of tests, hearing tests, make sure my joints move and stuff like that. And I remember the doctor saying to me that, like, I'm very, very lucky to have no side effects from cooking myself that hard and obviously being in a coma. And to come out that unscathed, in a sense, I'm very, very grateful and blessed for that. But this is the thing, it didn't stop there. 21, couple of weeks after, everyone's a bit hesitant when you're taking drugs and that around them, and a couple of weeks go by and it's just back to it. And yeah, just fucking pushing, coming back from work, staying up for fucking 3-4 days, whatever, sleeping for 2 days, back to work. You'd think something like that would be a wake-up call or very scary for a lot of people, but when you're in addiction and when your lifestyle revolves heavily around that, I mean, as clearly you're willing to fucking die doing that shit. And it's like, it's quite disgusting because it's all put here to fucking, it's all put here to control us. You know what I mean? That's why there's a bottle every corner, pub, everywhere you go in Australia. Drugs are fucking flowing in. And it's put here to make us weak and control us, and then end up with mental health disorders, which that's another topic I'm going to speak about coming up. Imprisonment or getting incarcerated, suicide. 7 men will die today in Australia, yesterday and tomorrow. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, but we also have choices too. Unfortunately, 90 fucking +% of men of all ages, but especially 30 and under, aren't equipped with the right tools to be able to, one, break out of the drugs, two, once they do get out of there or out of that scene or whatever, they haven't done something long enough to, when something shit hits the fan or a breakup or something happens, lose a job, they aren't equipped and mentally enough to be able to not go back there to the easy, you know what I mean? Fuck this, she broke up. I'm getting on the piss, going to pub, see the boys, get a packet. It's the same fucking story. It's a revolving door. And I ended up doing that. I had my first bong at 13 years old, like barely out of fucking primary school, and then right up until my late 20s, and all different drugs, dabbled in all different drugs in between 13 and late 20s. So, I ended up with a severe mental health condition off all that, which I spoke about on other podcasts, but I'm going to obviously go in depth in my long form on here. But yeah, it's truly sad, and how many fucking lives it destroys and how many fucking people are affected by it, and like how many people overdose on it. Like, I've lost so many lads that I know, and few lads really close to me last couple of years. Pretty much every year I'm fucking overdose on drugs and suicide as well. And I would say, I'm not 100% sure, but it's like a leading factor. I've already boxed all the things in what I believe now is the man I am, what drives men to suicide. And people say, oh, it's greedy, how could they take their life? But if you've never felt like that before, because I've tried to take my own life a few times, if you've never felt like that before, you don't know. And when a man's mind is made up on a fucking decision, he'll fucking do it at all costs. So I don't think it's greedy, but I think that the things that make up that, drugs and alcohol, gambling, breakups with women, and maybe just them three in a whole, and you mix that shit together with, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. And a lot of lads don't know how to reach out. They don't know what to do. As I said, they're not equipped with the tools, and they make some emotional and erratic decisions that you can't come back from. There's no coming back from that shit. And then I know, like, I've been on both sides of the coin now. As I said, from 13 to late 20s, and I decided to change my life, and it's fucking hard. It's hard to get off the shit. It's hard to not surround yourself with the same people in the same environment. But it's just as hard to stay there and feel fucked and be fucking eaten up by that addiction. It controls your fucking life. It knows all your weaknesses. It knows when, it knows when you want it. It knows who's got it at any given time. Just have to pick up your fucking phone and message, ring, whatever it is. It knows where you hide your money. It knows how much is in your account, and you're willing to fucking, lick a fucking tiny plastic bag from China just to, get your fix. You're willing to do some putrid shit for fucking drugs. And at what cost? The cost of your life, the cost of destroying your fucking loved ones and your family and people that need you as a strong man or a strong male. It's not worth fuck all. And like the way I got myself off it in my late 20s was literally fucking hibernation, pulling myself away from everywhere. I ended up doing 1 year sober off everything, drugs and alcohol. I did that whole year sober. I still had shit food choices. I was still eating shit food, still like 120 kilos, but I pulled myself away from everything. I said no to anything I got invited to that was, I guess, pub-based, fucking party-based, hotel-based, whatever the fuck it was. I said no. I did that year sober. After that year sober, I dabbled a few more times on the piss and on the rack, but nothing majorly. And after that, I had, in between there and the dabbling part, I got into gym. I got into training. I started going to the gym, and then I started to run a little bit. And I laugh because I just ran 50k on the weekend, and when I started, I only run 500 meters. So it's a bit of a laugh as well. But you have to fucking hit the addiction right in the fucking two front teeth, which means delete all fucking contacts and numbers or associates of anything to do how you get on. That's number one. Number two, if you are going anywhere where there will be drugs and alcohol, whatever your addictions are, you do not fucking go. That's number two. Number three would be having to literally probably lock yourself in your fucking room or turn your phone off until you come out of that withdrawal period, depending how addicted or dependent you are on the drug of choice. And then once you get through that phase, you think that that's hard. Now you wait until everything that you've ever known, you're by your fucking self. You're literally by yourself. And that's why I made a choice, because I'd been so reliant and dependent on so many fucking shit addictions my whole life that I thought, fuck it. I've been through, the mental health system. I've had the highs and fucking lows of drugs my whole life. Now, what if this one fucking thing, going to the gym, watching what I eat, bit of running, whatever, what if this one thing could fucking change my life? I've tried everything else. I've had the prescriptions, I've had the injections, I've had all this fucking shit to try and help me. What if this one thing that we were given, that's pretty much free, gym membership is very cheap compared to a fucking bag, isn't it? But what if I just tried this? What if? And I was consistent at it like I was with drug taking or drinking or smoking fucking durries. What if I give this thing a fucking red hot crack? So I did. I pulled myself away from fucking literally everything that I'd ever known, and then just pulled myself back and stripped myself back, looked myself in the mirror at 120 kilos. I fucking had cone tits. I was shaped like a fucking pear. And I cried and looked at myself in the mirror and said, no more, cunt. No more. And then from that day, I never really looked back. Sometimes I feel like it's still there knocking, but I know now I'm equipped with the right tools, and when things get hard, I push back harder, or I get further away from those callings. So like trying to find those tools, and other thing is, a lot of young lads, or it could be chicks, doesn't matter, people don't want to be alone, and they don't want to do the fucking work, and they're thinking there's this magic pill that's going to save them, or someone. But man, you have a life to live, and if you're fucking letting your parents down, or your family or your kids, if you're a father out there and you're getting on the piss or getting on the fucking rack or pipe or whatever, what do you think your fucking kids are saying? What kind of example are you setting for your kids? Do you want to be around forever? Do you want longevity? Well, the pipe's not going to do that. The billies aren't going to do that. The alcohol's not going to do that. You're going to be a weak old man by the time you're fucking 30, if you're a man at all. So if you're stuck and you don't know where to fucking go, like I was, and you feel like you can't do it yourself, reach out to someone. There's helplines. I'm sure there's someone, myself, my Instagram's KPhit.confidence, reach out. There are people out there that can fucking help you, but you've got to want to help yourself first. Remove yourself from everything that you fucking know and do something different. If you want different, you need to do different. And honestly, all those lessons, at the time you think they're losses. That's another mindset thing that people have to get over. They're not losses, they're lessons. They're not problems, they're solutions that we're trying to find. And honestly, I can speak for everyone in my family and all my closest. Getting sober was the best thing that I've ever fucking done. Ever. Not only for myself and my mental health, my family, my son now, my nephew, everyone I'm around, anyone that I bump into, it was the best thing I ever done, but it was also probably one of the most fucking challenging things that I've ever had to do. And if I can do it, you can do it. You're not stuck. And I know there's so many people out there that are questioning that, and they feel like they are. You're not. You have, at any given moment, you can be anywhere in the world. You can be in a different state. You can be in a different town. You can be in a different country. And that means you can be in a different situation than you are right now, today, tomorrow. You have the power and the choice to overcome anything and change, pivot and adapt at any moment. So as I said in the start of this video, I'm going to start giving back the best way I know how, and is to walk people through my life experiences and give back that way and make an impact on future generation or people my age, older, that are feeling that they've been through similar shit or gone through similar shit and they think there's no way out. So I hope this has helped. I hope it's made an impact. I hope it's educational for you. Now, this isn't a video to condone anything like that. The opposite effect. Eat whole foods, train hard, look after yourself, look after your family. It's KPhit. Let's get it.